is it working? Like everyone's able to get into that, right? I am going to really challenge you guys on the what the fucks out there, because that is going to be where it's going to be maybe even counterintuitive to what you think. That's okay. All right. So I'm going to go to slide. We already talked about you don't need new patients. Let's go to slide 4. If you guys are following along with me, the number one thing that impacts retention, and this might be a little bit of a butt curl because I was one of those people when I had my second startup in San Francisco. It was a patient communication platform. And literally, this is at the dawn of Facebook and online reviews and patient communication, text reminders, email reminders. And we were telling our docs, dentists and plastic surgeons, unfortunately, it wasn't a lot of chiropractors because, and this is the shift that's happened in the last almost 20 years. My mentor and friend, John Sun Kim, who created a company called 5'9", which is now a unicorn, publicly traded company. He built it in his apartment with multiple credit cards. When I went to him and said, John, as the 4th founder at Dr. Base, I really believe the software that we have could really be beneficial to chiropractors. He said, you mean those broke guys with Hawaiian t-shirts and sandals? And I said, yeah, okay. So we were mostly working with dentists and plastic surgeons, and we were telling those doctors at the time, don't friend your patients on Facebook. And I have over the last 10 years said, nope, I disagree with that, because one of the easiest ways, even in the shift of social today, where we're becoming either the influenced or the influencer, which is upon us, there is still that social element. And one of the easiest ways, without spending any money, just a little bit of time, a click here, a share there. And there's gonna be some redundancy of me talking about lighting under candles. One of the easiest ways for us to show appreciation is just to friend our people, our patients on social media, and give those thumbs up, give those hearts, and give love, if you will, to those people. So I highly recommend the first thing coming out of this workshop on Monday is setting up your plan for how you're going to get more connected. Now, there's going to be loops, because if you go to I'm actually going to put this doc in the chat for us, because this will be also a big part of today. You guys already should have access to this because you registered. If you didn't, I apologize. But this next doc is is what I call the circle of life, which is retention, referrals, relationships, retention. You're going to see crossover from this. It's very easy for us, if we are showing love and appreciation to our people by friending them, following them on social media, to also reduce got a standing desk in now. This is my text things today. I have a standing desk that's going on its own and lifting up on me, because I want to be able to stand today at some point. It's very easy for us to remove the restrictions and barriers of referrals if we're more connected to our people on social media. So you'll see the loop from retention to referrals happening right there. So appreciation, easy to get connected with your people on social media. Game plan for that, real simple. I say put up in your front office your social profiles and let your people know that you want to get connected. Send those emails and text out with your profiles or your personal profiles. I'm going to talk about this a little bit deeper later, but in January of last year, I did a workshop, the Royal Rumble Mastermind, which was all about professional branding. And professional branding is the intersection of personal branding and professional branding. Again, easy to show appreciation if we're friending them on social media. We're going to talk about gifting. If we go to slide 5, there's 4 things that really, I think, that make it easy for us to show appreciation. Friending our people on social media, gifting, which when Austin Cohen comes in and we talk about the black holes in our PVA and patient visits, we'll talk about really smart, simple gifting strategies that his practice is instituted in. And one of my favorite plays to do with practices is to find out how you can love your people. And I think this is a great exercise for any practice, because you can easily send them this link, the 5 love languages. Find out how your people want to be loved on. What is their love language? Do they like small gifts? Are they about words of appreciation? I just came back from doing a round. I have one more round of what I call on-sites, where I go for a day and a half to 2 days to a practice. And we do a mixture of auditing the practice for leaky buckets. We do content creation. I was at a practice that was celebrating 73 years, Aspinwall Chiropractic Clinic in LaGrange, Georgia. When I got out of the airport at Atlanta, someone said to me, No one ever goes to LaGrange. And they were pretty much right because it was the hardest Uber experience I've ever had in my life. But I got to film about 50 plus why they buy testimonial case studies. These are a little bit deeper videos with patients going through why they came in, what was their story, what did they experience, why did they stick around. And this is a practice that I got to meet I had two 90-year-olds that have been in the practice longer than most of the docs. So it's crazy. And the number one thing that came out of that practice was they treat us like family. And I really think what came out of that actually was they treat them better than family. They listen to them. And the best way that we can listen to our people, besides following them on social media and being part of their life, is to do things like the 5 love languages, get to know them on a deeper level, put up whiteboards in your office to ask questions on a weekly basis about their life. What podcasts are they listening to? What restaurants do they like locally? Send out email surveys. You can use Tammy's AI system to set up automations to send out communications to collect data. Now, you don't have to be BlackRock. None of us have to go down that road. We don't have to sell this data, but we can use this data to better serve and to better love our people. Got some more people that have come in. If you want to join us live, you can use that call in button on your screen.
Talk to me more about that, because sometimes I feel like I'm really old school. How do you lose that doctor-patient relationship if you come down into that social media friendship thing?
I love this, dude. You're going to hear me again. Twisty-isms, clear definitions of expectations and boundaries is one of my biggest things in the last couple of years in any relationship. My wife and I, as everyone knows, if you read me, we do quarterly Molly MDAMA trips where we have fantastic lovemaking weekends. It's amazing. I highly give it. I say to anyone out there, do this just for the love, but do it more for the trust building. And on those weekends, we actually go through our list of clear definitions, expectations, and boundaries in our own life and with our children. And I think that goes to what you're asking about is the biggest concern and fear is that I'm going to either be abused. I'm going to get people that are messaging me. And that was my fear of my father when he started friending people on Facebook. And I said, you just got to set clear definitions, boundaries, and expectations. Another twistyism, and you've probably heard this before, you got to train people how they should treat you. So it's up to you to define those boundaries on social media. But the fact is the ROI and the impact and the connection far outweighs the risk. I mean, I'll give you real talk right now that's going on behind the scenes. And it's funny that this is titled Circle of Life, which has been a twistyism for years. There are 3 people, it always comes in 3, that I'm very close with that are my clients, because I become very close with my clients that lost their fathers this week. Dr. Amanda Afflebat, another growth coordinator with me, lost her mother actually. Dr. Chris Alberts, who is Aspinwall Chiropractic Clinic, lost his bonus dad, which hit me hard because I'm a bonus dad, and we had some deep talks this week about that. And Dr. John Zawerka, who might be on here today, just lost his father last night. And to me, the connections that we have with people, the risk of them getting too deep and too close, why I brought that up with, if you guys don't know, and I highly support you going to a GoFundMe. If you want the link, I can send it out later for Cheryl and Brett Usher. As I'm doing this workshop, I'm getting messages from Cheryl Usher about Brett, her husband, going into surgery today. So this comes back to love and service. How deep can you love? How deep are you willing to love? I was talking to Dr. Stu Bernson, who's the founder of Chiro One, the other day, who I might be working with deeper on a deeper level. We'll talk about, there's actually a bridge to that coming up here later on. And I said, I'm very tenacious, but I'm not very disciplined. So I can go for long hours and but I also am like a ADHD squirrel, and I need to work on that. But that enables me to be able to love deeper. I mean, I think Glenn, I'm not afraid to take a call at any time. I'm available to my people, and I understand that fear of being completely accessible. You got to set your definitions and boundaries. But I believe that the impact of friending your people on social, following them, at the very least, even the business page on that level is better than doing nothing, if that makes sense. Did that help?
No, I mean, I love the idea of doing the love languages and understanding, how to appreciate them. It's something that we've talked about with our coaching clients and understanding that. And we talk about it with our kids. Like, we know what each of their love languages. So I love extending this out into your patient base to understand that. So is there any, you're just sending them this link to?
Sending the quiz and asking them if they don't already know it, a lot of people have done this and they're like, no, it's words of appreciation. They know it right off the bat. So even sending out the survey or email and saying, if you've never done this, we'd love for you to take this and send us back your results. Or if you've already done this, we're taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
We want to love our people better. We'd love to know what your love language is if you already know what it is.
Yeah. So we can get this out in our next newsletter.
Love it. The Carters, better than Jimmy Carters. All right, we're going to move along, guys. We're going to go to the next stuff. And again, I am going to share a story. This is where the butt curls. This is really a real big butt curl. So some of you know, I was part of a group called Black Diamond Club. And for the first 2 years, the entry level into Black Diamond Club, essentially just as similar to your practices, becoming a patient, was getting a membership into Black Diamond Club. And we had a rule. It was actually sent out, and it was only relayed when someone tried to get out. And that was, if you left BDC, you could never come back. And if you go to slide 7, there is an enrollment agreement. Now, I did dose this up with ChatGPT to help out, and I'm going to give you the guys the play, but essentially, one of the easiest ways to have as bulletproof retention as possible, not leveraging fear so much, but leveraging if you leave, and I truly believe this comes back to acquisition. So when we do next summer in conversions, a lot of my people I work with, we talk about enrollment. I believe that you guys are institutions, and much like schools, there's enrollment. Not everyone should get in. Now, here's an interesting thing. One of the most aggressive marketing schools that market is Harvard. So they pimp out, they promote out, they fish, they're aggressive with their advertising and marketing, but they don't let everyone in. So this will go to acquisitions a little bit, but in the retention side, the play is if you leave, you can't come back and I can fire you. Setting standards in our practice for again, going back to clear definitions, boundaries, and expectations. I believe this is so important because when you're training your people how to treat you, if you leave, you can't come back. And I truly stand by this. I know this is going to be one of the biggest butt curly moments. How the hell am I going to tell a patient that if you leave me, you can't come back? I stand by this, that we are in a lifetime business. We are in a lifetime practice. There's going to be ways to get under the velvet rope of this. Of course, you can let people back in, but setting the standard that when we work with people, I'm going to set the expectation that I have to work with you for life. One of the things that I remember my father teaching doctors when I was younger, I don't think this question comes up quite as much as it did in the 80s and 90s, but he would close his nose because the patients that would ask this question would sound like this. He's saying, do I have to keep coming back? And he would say, absolutely. And the question that we'd ask you is, how many times have you been adjusted? Dr. Carter, how many times have you been adjusted in your life?
Oh my gosh, I've been adjusted since I was 14. So it's been a bunch, hundreds and hundreds.
Okay. Try thousands. Glenn, how many times have you been adjusted in your life?
Yeah, thousands for sure.
Okay. And I'm assuming that means it's going to transfer over to Tammy and the kids. If the line that my father would use is, well, if I were you, I'd keep coming back because I keep coming back. And this goes back into this health academy enrollment agreement, just kind of a blanket template of commitment to the program and what we require being part of our patient base. Setting a standard that not everyone gets to stay, not everyone gets to get in, but if you're in it to win it. And I'm building a lifetime practice. I'm mission-based for a purpose because every single man, living, woman, and child needs to have, and we'll get into this in a second, be checked for vertebral subluxation or whatever you want to call it. And every man, woman, and child needs to be at least adjusted regularly. So I want to get some feedback on this. I'm going to get an insider perspective. I'm going to go to Tammy. Tammy, what's your feedback on having you can never leave us and enrollment process?
I mean, I think when I first heard it was the book curling moment of like, okay, can you really say that? I think it sets the precedence to this is an exclusive thing that you don't want to leave, right? Like it's setting them up for, why would you leave? Like you need to continue doing this. Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Again, there's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to run through. Not everything's going to be implementable Monday. Some of this stuff might be works in progress over the course of the next couple years. But I truly, truly believe, having known proof and data, that just like schools and institutions have their rules and standards, I believe so should you guys. So that's the big one on the retention side for butt curling. If you leave, you can't come back. I provided you with a template enrollment agreement. Obviously, for most of my people here, we'll be working on this together deeper. And for people that have bought the recording or are not my people yet, because I believe it's a matter of when, not if, that's something we can work on down the road. Now, one of the other things I threw in here from Black Diamond Club days, and I'm giving credit where credit's due, and I believe truly will help not only with retention, but will help with referrals. And I provided you a simple, clean framework. It's amazing to me how many docs are not doing what I call the morning after call. Now, I'm very open in my life. I'm transparent, as everyone knows, or if you don't know, you'll get to know. I share everything. I just shared about my Molly weekends with my wife. You can imagine my wife can't stand me for a lot of things. So, especially my new podcast. My wife recently last year got new breasts and liposuction and all the cool stuff that happens when you start getting rich. And she also became conservative. That happens when you become rich too. And that was always a fun thing. I was reminded of this when her plastic surgeon called her the night of her surgery when we got her home. You know, we got her home around 2 p.m. and around 8:30, Dr. Dorner gave her a phone call to check in to see how she's doing. I would love for anyone who's in the chat on this live, if you can put in, I am doing a morning after. I am doing a post-adjustment call, first call. If you're not doing that, we put a framework. Glenn, since you're in and I got you back in, are you guys doing this right now?
No, it's on my to-do list.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have not got to it yet.
I love that Dr. Carter said he's doing the text call. Dr. Carter, I'm going to unmute you here too. I don't think text is horrible. I think it's better than done is perfect. But I truly believe, especially we're talking about personalization and how much more would it take you on an average of doing a 3 to 5 minute call with your patients with the new patients? Does it seem overwhelming?
No, I used to do that. The reason we don't do it now is because people don't answer the phone. And so then I have to leave a voicemail and then they call back and I can't talk to them then. And so your 3 to 5 minutes becomes 20 to 30 in a heartbeat.
Well, I think just the precedence of setting the stage that we might do that call, I think is impactful. I love to see docs get back to that love, but that totally makes sense on the level. Now, this goes back to what Tammy's built for you guys. I truly think that there's some better ways that we can do that, even with a little bit of AI, to make it look and feel like it's more personal. And I bet Tammy's mind's running on how to add that, include that.
We actually get pretty good
beautiful
reply
stuff.
bars.
Good.
And
good. I love hearing that. That's good.
But I can see, I mean, I do see the point, and I agree with you completely on that. But what we could do is we could just add to the text, would you like me to call you?
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss. And that's why this is a workshop. We're working this out together. I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of shit, but I also appeal to you guys to go lean into what we're doing and what's working already. Thanks for that. That's beautiful, dude. All right. We're going to go ahead to the, what I have next on your stuff here was, we are in the morning after. All right. Another story time real quick. Many of you know I've worked with an ex-Harvard trained OBGYN. We built the largest solo provider liposuction clinic in Southern California after converting her OBGYN practice after she got put on medical probation and we got kicked out of in-network with Blue Cross. We converted her practice to a liposuction and Botox practice. However, we still had a lot of people that wanted to stay with Dr. Laura. And I came from Parker. I'm a Parker kid, grew up in chiropractic, and it blew me away that she had 3,000 women a year that came in and paid cash $160 at the time for an annual exam. And 90% of the time, she was telling them, and we had t-shirts made of this, you're pink, plush, and pretty. That was her line. Everything's good. You're pink, plush, and pretty, you're good to go. In the 10% cases, those were the shitty stories and the times that we had to have talks about other things. That really sucked. But 90% of the time, you're good to go. It really started me on a course years ago that has driven me that every single office, I believe, should get their standard annual care or annual exam down. Now, here's the problem in our profession. We don't have standards. There is no governing agency saying this is this and this is how you do it. Here's the beautiful thing. We don't have standards. So what I tell you as doctors and providers and team members, we've instituted this in many of I would say a percentage of my clients, but not to a great degree. And here's why. Chiropractors, including myself, we are notorious for being horrible at delayed gratification. And I'm going to tell you, this is not a 1 year or a 5 year. This is a lifetime thing again. To be able to shift your people to understanding. Now, here's the really good news. Every office that we've ever implemented this in, I've had offices come to me and say, dude, I never have a patient say no. So it's as simple as fucking just doing it. Meaning putting the patients on when they come in the door for their next year. In our OBGYN, our gynecology practice, we were so mission derivative. No patient walked out of that door without their next annual exam scheduled. They couldn't walk out of the door. We actually had, and I'm going to get into this, some red flag systems. If a patient stopped and said, let me call you back before I get scheduled. This is for an annual. And you guys, we work with 6 to 10 visit multipliers.